No time, no tools, big expectations. How do you transform school culture without derailing the train? Answer: little wins that bring big changes. The flywheel effect: harnessing the power of momentum to create a school culture that celebrates change and drives itself.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is Jordan Life School, and this week's episode is all about interventions. So we've talked about tier one, the PBS pyramid. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, and then we talked about tier 2 and 3 supports with MTSS with our episode with Miss Kathy Emerson, also just a couple weeks ago. And this one is all about honing in on one specific intervention that can be used at the tier 2 level that most schools could benefit from. So, and what we're going to talk about is going to be check in, check out, and I really want to show what is that. Will it work for your school? Why should you choose that? And then we're going to talk about the steps to implement it in your school. But really, you need to think about a couple things first. So successful behavior management plan starts with implementing strong tier 1 supports that apply to all students. Think about your classroom expectations, CHAMPS, PBIS, the things that you have that are available to everyone that all teachers, all staff use. However, even if you have a really strong tier 1, there's going to always be some students who need additional support and interventions. That's where something like MTSS and then specifically an intervention like check-in, check-out can come in handy. Because by quickly identifying students who need those supports, schools can address those problem behaviors before they become severe and they impact the student's growth, or also they escalate into chaos in your hallways. It could be, these things can be big issues if they go, unaddressed. So, what is MTSS? Well, I mean, you can look at a deep dive episode from a few weeks ago if you want to know more. But top level, things you got to know. MTSS stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. It's used to address academic, behavioral, and social emotional concerns. And it's 3 tiers, with students on each tier requiring more specialized attention. Now, we're talking about check-in, check-out today. Check-in, check-out is a behavior strategy where students check in with a mentor teacher at the beginning and end of the school day, and they review goals, address concerns, and then, most importantly, they celebrate progress and little wins the student had during the day. Now, what I love about that is the focus on mentorship. And that's one thing we have in abundance in schools is we have really quality mentors, and check-in, check-out is a way to get our students who need that mentorship the most connected with an individual in the building that can help them the most. So that's one of the reasons I like it. The other reasons why you should consider using check-in, check-out is it's an effective behavior strategy that's built on, like I said, relationships, that mentorship idea, but also accountability and data. So you use relationships that are rooted in mentorship to motivate students to perform or avoid certain behaviors. Now, students tend to behave better in classes where they have a positive relationship with the teacher. So MTSS teams should choose mentor teachers who the student already respects and has a positive relationship with. Now, here's what's cool about this. It does not really have to be one of their teachers as long as it's somebody in the building they have a positive relationship with. This could be a coach. This could be a para. It could be somebody who works in the cafeteria. It could be one of your SROs, your student resource officers. It could be a principal. It could be anybody that works in the building, but it has to be somebody that they know, they trust, they respect. This is one of those things that we've talked about before is every kid needs a champion in their building. This is who that person should be for the student you're pairing them up with and check-in, check-out. So check-in, check-out gives a student the opportunity to self-reflect and take accountability for positive and negative behaviors. They go through their day knowing that they're going to have to check in with their mentor at the end of the day to discuss what happened during that day. Now, this is going to be a private conversation, but that conversation is going to happen. If there's a strong relationship between the student and the mentor, that student is going to want to make that conversation something that the mentor is proud of, and that's a natural human response. But lastly, check-in, check-out also allows your MTSS team to track data and monitor that student's progress. So when that meeting is happening, that mentor is also collecting some data that they're going to share back with the team so they can report on some progress. Schools can increase the effectiveness there by encouraging school staff to collect and share that data with that mentor throughout the day, so they're not just doing it on their own. But it can be done, just in a almost an interview setting with the that mentor at the end. All right, let's talk about 6 steps to implement check-in, check-out in your school. So Obviously, teamwork and collaboration are going to increase the impact of the behavioral interventions and strategies you use, specifically with something like this. But when parents and teachers and other school staff can easily communicate and provide feedback on the students' behaviors, that's when they can be addressed more quickly. Now, so what we're really going to talk about is how to use something like Live School, or however you're tracking behavior data to help with this goal. So step one, you're going to set behavior goals and assign a mentor teacher. So the MTSS team can use the data you have. You can use something like LiveScore. You can use referral data or attendance data and create a category where you're going to identify the points that that student can receive. So you can look at examples in your rubric right now that already align with something that the student's struggling with, something they could benefit from. So like maybe it's being on time to class. Maybe that's what you want to focus on, or it's being on task during class, or maybe it's something more specialized. Like they are going to, it could be a lot of things. It could be something dress code related. Maybe it's they're not going to wear their hood in the hallway or something. There's a lot of schools that do something like that. It could be something like that. But you're going to set the goal and you're going to assign a mentor teacher. Like I said, it needs to be somebody, a mentor teacher that student already knows, already respects. So there's some semblance of a relationship already there. Now, step two. The student and the mentor teacher are going to review the goals and discuss strategies to achieve them. And here, this is why this is really important. Notice I didn't say the MTSS team is going to assign all these things. The student and the mentor teacher are going to review those goals and discuss strategies to achieve them. If the student is involved in that process, they're going to be more likely to implement that process. They're going to work with you. It's really, really tough to just assign somebody strategies like, all right, you're struggling with this. We need you to do this. It's more likely like, we see you're struggling with this. Let's come up with ideas together on how you can achieve this so you can be better throughout every part of your day. You can be better as a result of this. So the student needs to be involved in this plan, that's sort of part of the idea. There's a little bit of back and forth required here. Step three, record the behavior throughout the day. There has to be a way for the rest of the staff that sees that student during the day to record positive and negative behaviors related to the goal. Now, ideally, you're using something digital like Live School, but it could be done potentially with a sheet. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but you need some way to record that behavior throughout the day. Step four, the student and mentor teacher discuss the student's behavior at the end of the day. So they can view positive and negative behaviors all at once at the end of the day, talk about their day. And then step five, the mentor teacher is going to reward that student for positive behavior and offer feedback on how to continue improving. Now, this could be something extravagant because over time, they've accumulated and all these points, and they keep hitting their goals, and you want to do some sort of big reward. That's fine too. But really, what we're talking about here, we're talking about the mentor teacher rewarding that student at the end of the day. It could be as simple as praise, and on a daily basis. I see you're doing this well. Great job. That goes a long way, particularly because we talked about this is somebody that student already respects, has a good relationship with. And step six, that mentor teacher records the check-in, check-out data. So they're going to report back their progress to the MTSS team. They're going to share some of these conversations, some of the goals they came up with. They're going to share where they are on those goals. Those are your steps to implementing check-in, check-out. But let's talk very specifically about how it can be successful for your school and things to keep in mind as you're trying to roll this out. If you have a long list on your MTSS roster that are going to be tier 2 and you see, I don't know, I've got 25, 50 kids that could benefit from this, that's great. And you might be able to manage that eventually. My suggestion here is to have some sort of pilot where you have one or two students working with one or two mentors, so you can get the hang of what data is important. What makes your best mentors, what when can they meet, all those kind of things. You can work out the kinks with one or two in sort of a pilot program. Now, for my school, when we were rolling this out, I was a mentor to, and I was also a football coach. So I was a mentor to a student who was also playing sports. So I knew the student. I didn't have them in class at the time, but I had a good rapport with them, so they could report back to me. We could talk about the things that were going on, and then I could talk to MTSS about this is what's working. This is when it's taking too much time, or they're missing class time because of this, et cetera, et cetera. All those little kinks you can work out over a month to 6 week process. And then you can roll it out on a larger scale, and then that mentor can also share with other potential mentors. Here's what you should expect. Here is how you're going to have the most success. And those are the kind of things that are going to make your program strong. That's why it's going to benefit the most kids. So that is check in, check out, and 6 steps to implement. And we'll see you next week. Have a great day.
The flywheel effect, harnessing the power of momentum to create a school culture that celebrates change and drives itself.